from Mescalero. I've lived here my whole life.
I am a director of a program called the Mescalero Prevention Program. I've been director for about 14 years, but I've been in the field of prevention for 22.
Currently, in my position, I'm the Deputy Tribal Historic Preservation Officer. So I pretty much oversee the archaeology side of things here on the reservation, ensuring that our cultural resources are protected and recorded.
I'm one of the medicine men around here for Mescalero.
I'm the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Mescalero Apache Tribe.
Our prevention program does a lot of different things. Each of them have different goals and objectives, from substance use, substance prevention, adult binge drinking. One is for youth alcohol prevention. One is for suicide prevention. I have another one for parenting skills.
Well, there's, like going to people's houses and, helping them out with like their problems. Like maybe there's something that's bothering them or they don't feel right or something like that. So we come and we bless them and their families and their houses and stuff like that. Or, sometimes it's with like traditional blessings, like blessing feasts. We go and help them. We go and do that for them too. And it's not just us, but the crown dentures are involved for that part too. It just really depends on what the family wants. Like if they just want you to come to bless their house, or if they're sick or something wrong with them, then they'll typically come ask us to go over and help them through it and pray for them and bless them and stuff like that. They typically ask people to, mainly the women, to put them in cradles, their babies in cradles and stuff like that too. There's also one where they put the moccasins on them. Sometimes people will bring an item to you and ask you to bless it for them, like a feather for their car, or a necklace they want to wear, or a bracelet or something like that. They'll bring it over and ask you to bless it for them.
So I pretty much oversee the archaeology side of things here on the reservation, ensuring that our cultural resources are protected and recorded. So anything that has federal dollars tied to it, any kind of project, my office is contacted first, and we'll go out and do what we call a Class 3 Cultural Resource Survey. So we'll go out and survey the area, however big it is, to look basically looking for Apache artifacts or other artifacts from other tribes. We do have a pretty good amount of sites here on the reservation. I haven't really gone through all of our records, but I know it's well over, I want to say, maybe 250 sites here on the reservation itself. And as part of the duties here at the Tribal Historic Preservation Office is to, at some point, down the line, we want to get all of the reservation 100% surveyed. I want to say right now, we're probably sitting about 40% surveyed here on the reservation.
I couldn't give you a number here on the reservation. We have 6 file cabinets full of site files. So there's quite a few archaeological sites that have been recorded through the years. Archaeology was done really since the 70s here on the reservation, especially when they widened Highway 70. They did that, and then there was a big survey of quarter sections. So that's a quarter of a mile area that was surveyed for when the logging was going big time. They kind of did that to see how prevalent archaeological sites were in the higher elevational ranges. So there's quite a few acres that were surveyed at that time. And then with a lot of the timber sale projects, we did survey, and then in the lower range lands where they were thinning the juniper areas. But there's a lot of areas that haven't been surveyed still, being 468,000 acres, the reservation covers a lot of different areas, ecosystems as well.
I wish, a lot of the things that are out there in museum collections, in private collections, that, we can just simply get those things back. Unfortunately, the way that the laws are written, it's a process. I remember working on getting a crown back for one of the dance groups here, and it was seized through a FBI raid that was out of I think it was Wisconsin or something like that. But that took like 4 or 5 years just for that thing to come back here to Mescalero. And, it's time consuming. But, somebody has to do the job and somebody has to look out for those things.
Our program does what we call community-based participation. And so that means engaging in the community in substance prevention. I do a lot of cultural awareness classes. So we'll collect, like today, we went and gathered Indian tea and sage, but we also go and take our participants to gather haichira. And then we have a class that puts together traditional tobacco. So our participants sew a bag, and then we have an instructor come in and they teach them about the mixture of traditional tobacco and educate them on the uses of tobacco within our culture, and how we use it as prayer and not so much as a commercial use, because there's two different things: commercial tobacco and traditional tobacco. And so we teach about that and talk to them.
Forest plays a pretty big part in who we are. Because we get most of our things from the forest that we use around here. Like our tippy poles for the big tippy or for the regular tippy. And then we go out and get like our rocks for the fires, our paints, our pollen. We get out our pollen. We can get our cattail pollen from out there. We even use pollen from the pinon trees. And then we get like the brush for our arbors out there. Sometimes go out there and pray because it's quiet. So yeah, it does play a pretty big part in the things that we do, ceremonies and even just everyday life.
Culture is very important for the Tribal Historic Preservation Office, because that's one thing that we work to help preserve and protect. And also, another part of our duties is to educate the public and the youth on that. And so, one thing, we do is take whenever people are having difficulty finding the foods that they need, the different traditional use plants, they'll come to our office and ask us, do you know where we could go get some Indian tea, or where can we get some of the mescal?
That wasn't originally our name. I guess when the Spaniards first came in contact with us, they saw us eating the mescal, using it as a food source. So they started calling us mescalero. I guess it means that people who eat the mescal, or somewhere along those lines. I have some ideas of what I want to do, like with plant or traditional plants that we use around here for medicinal purposes and traditional foods that we use around here on the reservation. That way, like especially mescal, because right now, when the girls have their coming of age ceremony, they have to go off the reservation to Carlsbad to get the mescal. There's some that grow around here, but not a lot. It's not as abundant around the reservation as it is in down towards Carlsbad and those places. But that's one thing I'm trying to change. I'm trying to get a good crop of mescal going, hopefully this year, so we can plant them out in the low areas of the reservation.
I wish that with the language, they would have more interaction with parents and the children, because unfortunately, with the boarding school era, when a lot of people were sent off, and it's not just the boarding school, but also like Arden, my husband, he said that his grandma, made him speak English because she felt that was how he would succeed and do well. And so, he was a very fluent speaker. He dreamed in Apache. It was funny when he'd be talking in his sleep in Apache. But I mean, that was his native language. But he spoke English very well because he wanted to succeed. And in today's world, unfortunately, you do need to be bilingual pretty much. And know more than just your native language.
Yeah, we still got quite a bit of people who can speak it, but it's kind of hard to get the younger generation into it because I guess I don't know. I don't know if it's too hard for them or they're just embarrassed by speaking their own language. But I guess it's just something that it's not taught at home, only at the school with most of the kids. Because most of these people around here speak English mainly. Even most of the ones that know the language, they speak mostly English to their kids.
Actually, that is a part of one of our responsibilities here is to do community outreach. So we will go into the schools, classroom settings and things like that, or we'll set up at fairs and things like that, and teach them about my office. Teach them about some of the archaeology here within this area, and even if it's relating to like historical documents or things of that nature, we will go out and teach them, whatever they want to, whatever topic they're interested in, or if they want to know something more about a particular subject, we're more than willing to go out and teach as well.
The work that I've done when I first started was more about going into the schools and doing education in the schools. And as I've learned more about my own strengths, I've moved it to community wide, to education of the community. And that seems to work a lot better for people. And I see a lot more people come to our classes and things like that and take part. Because a lot of times people don't have funds to, purchase the material that we need. And so I'm really happy to provide that for people at no cost. Most of the time it doesn't cost them anything.
There's always somebody willing to learn. There's always somebody that has learned that always comes back. But I wouldn't say it's getting lesser and lesser. As long as there's somebody there who's willing to learn and somebody there that's willing to teach.
I have the philosophy that the people who should be there will attend and are there. I don't look too much to say, oh, I wish 100 people would come. If only 5 people came, I'm satisfied with that, because that means that those 5 people are getting the things that they need, the knowledge that they need. And so if it's 5 people or 100 people, it doesn't really matter. It just means that those people are getting educated on some of the cultural stuff we do.
It's just like with me, when I first started doing or learning to be a medicine man, there was maybe about 5 or 6 guys that I started out with. And then as the years went on, that group of people, started to get less and less. But the younger generation, my generation, started coming in, and we started getting bigger and bigger. Because when I first started, there was like those 5 or 6 older guys, and there was about just as many young guys that were getting into it too. So now there's like maybe one guy that sang with the old people that's still around, and he's my teacher. Not only my teacher, but he teaches all like 14 of us. He's teaching 14 of us. And we range from my age all the way down to like maybe 5 or 6 years old that are in our little group that sing together. So that kind of puts it at ease for us, for as far as our religion and our culture goes, that there's somebody there that'll carry it forward for us when we're gone. And that's something that he always tells us that he doesn't have to worry about, because there's always going to be somebody there to carry it forward for the people, so it'll never be forgotten.
I've been doing this for 20 years, And some of my first participants that I had went back around and did a survey. And one of the gentlemen, he went to college. He worked for one of the departments, and so he said, I remember going to your program when I was young, and I remember doing all the things that you guys, taught us and stuff like that. And he said that's one of the reasons why I went to college, and was the things that I did. So it was really nice to hear that from him. And other people like it now, learning about the culture, you see them wearing their dresses, you see them wearing their shoes, their moccasins, their bow necklace, things like that. So, and they're very proud of them. So
It's a pretty big part too, because when you're outside, you just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you're closer to, well, for me, I guess it's because you're closer to God outside, I guess. Because He can hear you and He can see you. He's the reason why we have the weather. So, helping the people, helping these young ladies become women, praying that they have a good life, a long life, they live life well. The singing, just being at feasts, to me, it's a pretty powerful thing to be doing when you're over there, because their family's putting a lot of trust into you, helping people by praying for them, trying to help them to get better, to feel better. Just makes me feel real good in my heart for helping all these people with things, and because I'm still learning. I mean, I don't know everything, but I'm still learning. That's the one thing that I like too, is the learning. There's always something to learn. That's why there's always something different that you have to learn. But I like to do what I do. Gives me the strength to keep moving. Makes my faith stronger in what I do.